going to take a look at North Africa 41, the Western Desert, March to December 1941. This is a game published by GMT Games. I want to thank them for getting me this copy. And it's a game designed by Mark Simonich. Now, if you're familiar with Mark Simonich or his designs, this might look like it's part of a series. This is a numbered series. He has several games that end with a number. I have a few of them. Stalingrad 42, Salerno 43, Ukraine 43, Normandy 44, Holland 44, and Ardennes 44. So these, although these might look like they're part of a series or system, they're generally not. There's a lot of similarities. Namely, they're all designed by Mark Simonich. The counter makeup, the maps, a lot of the gameplay and the combat system is generally the same. However, up until now, I believe all these, or at least the ones I have like the ZOC Bond mechanic involved there, which is kind of how zone of control is carried out over the hex lines in a line. I don't know if this has the ZOC Bond, so I've been calling all these like the ZOC Bond system or ZOC Bond family, but I don't think this has it, so that's going to be a breakaway from it there as well. There are some other aspects of these games that I do think share a lot of similarities. However, they're really not a system or a series in and of themselves. Although they do have similar naming conventions and same designer and same graphics. But enough of that. This one I think is a follow-up to, or at least inspired by, I think, some of Mark's earlier works on this topic, and I think he's added some stuff from the other parts of this series here. Like it says right here, I think this game uses the simple move, fight, and supply game system developed in Normandy 44 and Holland 44. Important elements like supply, troop quality, tank quality, artillery support, and command and control are all reflected in the game. And so that's another thing that's kind of similar about these games. They're generally operational. They're covering a large enough area where it's not as there's definitely tactics to it, but there's definitely an operational look, feel, and mechanics that go along with it. And supply, and of course North Africa supply was a crucial factor, and so you definitely would expect some strong supply elements in a game on North Africa. And that's the other thing that's interesting about Mark Simonich's games, or this ill-titled series. It's really not a series, but each of these games, really have, even though they share some core concepts or mechanics at some points, they are games designed to reflect that simulation. So, Normandy is going to have landing and breakout type rules. The Ardennes are going to have, roadblocks and the bunching up in the forest and weather type rules. Holland 44 is going to have paradrops and rallying troops and trying to get them coordinated, those type of rules. So each one of these games really, although they might look somewhat and feel somewhat similar in some aspects, they're going to have special features that are unique to that theater. So North Africa is a very unique theater in that regard as well. So here's an example of the map. Here's some of the counters here. 2 players, 3 to 12 hours. It's right in the middle on complexity and right in the middle on solitaire suitability. There's generally not a lot of, I don't know if there's any hidden information in the previous games. So this is but there's no solitaire specific rules. So this is basically a two-handed effort if that's the direction you want to go. North Africa 41, let's go a little bit tighter so you can read along with me if you so choose. North Africa 41 is a game that represents the campaign in North Africa from Rommel's first offensive in March 1941 to December 41. During that period, Rommel's forces dashed across Carinthia and made it to the frontier of Egypt. However, he was not able to take the critical port of Tobruk, defended by the stubborn Australians. With superior tanks and 88mm flak guns used as anti-tank weapons, the Axis force successfully fought off two counterattacks from the east, the Allied operation called Brevity and Battle Axe. Later in the year, before Rommel could make his final big assault against Tobruk, the Allies launched Operation Crusade, that forced the Axis to retreat back to their original starting point positions in Algeria. Algelia. Wow, man, I need my coffee. I need coffee with Kilroy. North Africa allows players to study the campaign and refight it with their own strategies. The game includes a detailed map of the Western Desert and a meticulously researched order of battle. So there, we've already talked about some of the other stuff down there. So let's get inside the box and see what we have in store for us. I really didn't know much about this one. I'm enjoying the rest of the series, and I actually need to get a few of those titles to the table, more than what I have, to really get a better feel for them. So I wasn't really keeping up with what new was being released, and so this kind of jumped out at me as something very interesting. There's a lot of stuff on North Africa, so why not have some more? But this looks like it has I like Simonich's games and his approach, so that's kind of an automatic buy for me when I like something like that and I can see it portrayed in another campaign or sector or theater. Decent GMT box, good thickness there. There's I guess it was at a 2-inch box, or 1.5 inch, not sure. Here's the rules of play, and we have 28 pages here with an index on the back. And it looks like we have dual column, a lot of color, talking about like the counter and an explanation of the counters. And I would imagine all this is similar to the rest of the games that I mentioned in a lot of respects. Here's your sequence of play: preparation phase, action phase, supply, attrition phase, victory point phase. Then you got a sequence of action impulse. So there's going to be different impulses. You're going to have a first action impulse, second action impulse, third action impulse in the turn. And then you have an allied initial phase, allied movement. So this is the breakdown of those impulses. Allied combat phase. And then you're going to allied recovery phase. Let's move over a little bit so you can see this. Allied recovery phase, supply, and then delay. And then you got the Axis player's turn. So if I cut that off on the previous thing, here is what that looks like. Here's stacking, land movement, rail movement, off-map boxes, zones of control, and I'm not seeing ZOC Bond. ZOC Bond is really more for a kind of a tightly packed area, probably even a smaller scale, and where you can exert a zone of control more easily over your surroundings. And this one is your wide open desert, and you're limited by your supply line. So I guess the ZOC Bond, it didn't really fit here. At least that's what I'm seeing, but I'll have to dive into it further. Here is combat. Combat modifiers, shifts, and the like. Determined defense. Determined defense is one of those, I think all those ones that I just mentioned before have this determined defense element or mechanic, and that's something consistent to Simonich's games, or at least the ones I've been talking about. Here's retreats, disruption and recovery, advance after combat. So these are all similar terms in the other rules and what you would probably be familiar with in a war game of this nature. Breakthrough combat, supply and attrition. Again, this is operational, and supply is very key, especially in North Africa, was a very crucial aspect. It was its own factor. There's artillery support and support units, special units, replacements, naval transport, I mean, we do have some of that going on here. Convoy, event table and resources, victory, optional rules, and then scenarios. And it looks like we have, here's hints on play, here's a convoy example, and it looks like we have 3 scenarios to deal with. Then we have a playbook, which this is going to be an extended example of play. It's going to design notes, order of battle, bibliography, rating the tanks, DAC, infantry organization, and sequence of play. So we got more of a example of play, which is becoming more common with GMT games, and also some history and background in this book as well. So you can do a whole playthrough here. Designer notes, and I'll probably read into this because I want to see what his influence is. I thought he was influenced by some earlier games. Yeah, this is a complete redo of my old design, The Legend Begins, first published 32 years ago in 1991. So that was what I think I was going to. He took that, kind of redid it, and I think he started adding in some of the developments he's discovered or perfected in the series that we just talked about, the numbered series. And so I think it's a culmination of that. And so that's always interesting to see how a designer develops not only their games but develops their own voice in the hobby. Here's the ranking of the tanks. Here's the infantry organization. So you got some historical background here. Here's an expanded sequence of play on the back. So that's could be a player aid. Speaking of player aids, we have 2 here, which is your combat results table with the results. Determined defense table. Again, that's that one common element to all these, I believe. Isolation attrition, ready table, combat modifiers, allied event table, access event table, shipping, or anti-shipping, I should say, shipping point cost, supply, disengagement, resource list. Is that resource? Yeah, resource list. And here's your terrain effects chart with the image, the movement points, the tank shift, effects on combat, and then we've got 3 other things here. Determine defense column, stop retreats, and advance after combat. So got quite a bit of, sorry about that if I didn't cut that off. Quite a bit of information. And you have 2 of those for 2 players. How about that? Here's some setup charts. Let me back out a little bit. I went in to read, and now I'm cutting stuff off. So there's your allied setup and reinforcement, and here's Axis on a good thick stock there. Here are the counter sheets. Looks like we have 2. And they come out easy. Look at that. And they come out easy, but they're double-sided here. Then we have this one here. This is interesting. So you have these available assets. So again, I think this is emphasizing the whole supply nature of and the logistics of the North African campaign, how crucial it was. So maybe this is an added touch. I'm not familiar with this. Or maybe I missed it in the previous games. That might be from maybe from the original design, actually. So looks like we got 2 maps here, because North Africa is long, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get everything on the board or on my table. There's 2 dice, and I don't think there's anything in the... these are mainly for packing purposes only, even though they do have some nice art from time to time, but kind of a waste at times as well. All right, let's get into the maps. They're paper maps. This is North Africa, so don't expect a lot of diverse color here. It's a lot of tan because it's a lot of sand. Here we go here. And I'm not going to be able to lay these all the way out, but here is the east portion of the map with Alexandria. And then here's Tobruk on the far edge of this map. And we have reserves, eliminated box, replacement, the Nile Delta here. Let's see what else we got. We got a lot of stuff on this map. Campaign victory point track, map key, showing all the different types of terrain. Here's your turn track, your Axis supply and attrition table, Allied supply and attrition table, player turn. So this is the different phases. You have the initial phase, movement, combat, recovery, supply, and display marker phase. Sequence of play, anti-shipping tables. So you got quite a bit there. Now let's look at this map here, which will be the western portion of the map. And as you see, we go all the way over to the Gulf of Sirte. This is the port. So there's an overlap here because here's Tobruk again. So there's going to be an overlap of the maps a little bit. And you have that same anti-shipping table, I think, on both sides there. Then we have some Axis replacement. We have Italy box way up there in the corner. And we have a Malta status track here. And there's Malta right there. Port of Benghazi. Tripoli here. An Axis elimination box. So there you have it for the maps. So maybe not... it's going to be long as North African maps are apt to do, but it looks like there's an overlap like right here. Oh, it shows you there's a line here. That's kind of cool. They're showing you the line of the overlap. A little bit there. So that's where the map's going to overlap. So there you have it. This is North Africa 41 from Mark Simonich's latest development, and this truly is a development from a much earlier war game, but I think he's used his learnings from his development of his numbered series. I'll just call it the numbered series. I don't know what to call it now because I used to call it ZOC Bond, and I can't call it ZOC Bond anymore. There's no ZOC Bond in this. So playbook there, the rules here, and that is what you get in a box of North Africa. Look at all that goodness. 41. Anyway, love to know your thoughts on this system. If you played his earlier game, The Legend Begins, love to know your thoughts on that, and if you've and what you understand the differences are, or after you play this, what are the differences? That'd be great to put in the comments. But feel free to talk about this game or anyone that's in the series or any of the differences between the games in the series. That's all fair game as well. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you have a good one. Take care. Thanks for watching.